What's up, you YouTubers? This is Travis from Team Jerry Beans, call me the Professor, and I'm doing a deck profile today on Battlin Boxers, undefeated 2 weeks in a row now. Stomped on Evil Swarm, stomped on Mermills, we're going to stomp on you.
Made Evil Swarm player cry, I saw it.
Well, I guess you could say he was on the ropes. Anywho.
He was salty.
First off, 3 headgear, he's your Foolish. He sends things to grave. You need a lot of grave setup in this deck, but you don't actually need a lot of banishing. You'll see what I mean here in a minute. 3 switch hitter, that's part of your grave setup too. He special summons from the grave, makes big monsters. Can only make Battlin Boxers when he's summoned though.
You don't need anything other than Battlin Boxers anyway.
Oh yeah. Lady Oak for days. Anywho, Spar. He's really important because if you read his effect, he can be used after the battle phase with no penalties. And he can make any exceed. So if you don't need a Lady Oak, you can make pretty much whatever you want.
Cowboy for game.
Cowboy for game, always. 3 Glassjaw, he's your bread and butter. Your opponent attacks him, and he gets automatically destroyed. They get a replay, but so what? Because you add something from your grave to your hand. So it helps again with that consistency, and it creates a loop with Lady Oak.
Oh, shit.
3 Blaster, Rogue Dragon of Brokenness. Pitch, destroy, makes back row cry, and in a pinch, you got a 2800 beater.
Holy.
1 burner. Any card in this deck, except for the hand traps, is going to be a fire. So if you need something like a blaster in a pinch, also he's really good to side out.
There you go. Easy side out.
Hand traps, we got Double Veiler. Stops your opponent's effects, obviously. Helps to draw into it with this card, which is Max C. 2 of those as well. Kills dragons dead and stops almost any other deck in their tracks. Alright, so that's monsters. Next we got spells. There's not many of them, but they're all ones you need. We got Dark Hole, Heavy Storm.
You're playing that bad card, Dark Hole?
And Monster Reborn, that's the Trinity. They kill everything, they revive everything. You know what they do. Foolish Burial. Helps with that grave setup again, like I mentioned. Plus, I mean, it's Foolish. Send something to the grave, always good.
Yeah.
Rhoda, all the main monsters in this deck are warriors, so obviously that makes you run 39 cards.
Travis, when you gave me that Gaga card last week, did you have to see what box I put it in?
I did not. Double Lance. Lance is OP in this format. Your opponent attacks into you. Hey, guess what? You're going to die.
Nope.
Plus, they stop all those traps from hitting your boxers. You don't want traps to hit your boxers. It's bad.
You don't want lead blow getting compulsed.
Oh, God.
Or deep prison. Or lead yoke if you call him lead blow. But
yep. Oh, that's a good name.
No.
2 TT. Punishes your opponent for overextending, sets off Lady Oak, sets off Glassjaw, makes you plus like crazy and makes your opponent cry. 2 chain, more effect negation, 2 chains, and and also stops you from getting attacked if your life points are on the line. 2 call, MST bait, and plus helps you make exceed plays. Your opponent MSTs it, you chain and target Glassjaw, add something to your hand. 2 bottomless, your opponent doesn't get to make plays. They normal summon, oh hey, you don't get to do that again. 3 compulse. Now,
yeah, boy.
Compulse is the sleeper hit of this format. It's really good against my deck, and it's really good against any deck that does a lot of exceeding, particularly those Evil Swarms. And to round it all off, 2 breakthrough skills. Look at that sexy ulti breakthrough skill.
All that money.
This card has just jumped up in price, and for good reason. It's a better version of Valor.
A Valor that can be used on both turns.
Oh yeah. Screw Dino Rabbit.
Oh shit.
So, with that, we got our extra deck. Photon Pappy kills defense dead. Gemknight Pearl kills Ophion dead. Lavalva Chain sets up your grave and lets you top deck legally, as opposed to some people who top deck illegally.
Let you stack legally.
Pretty much, yeah. Abyss Dweller for Mermills and Dark World stops grave effects. Cowboy has won me more games than any other card in this extra deck except for Lady Oak. Gandiva. Now this one's really fun to get out against any deck that uses Rabbit because it's basically a bottomless for whatever they summon. It doesn't banish them, but it doesn't matter.
Still.
Gandiva is great. Maestro wins games, saves your life, doesn't die. Plus he's a Book of Moon on legs.
That's good.
Shockmaster, this deck gets out 3-card rank 4s so easily that it's pointless not to run them.
How often do you go for him?
I don't go for him very often because usually a Lady Oak can solve most situations, but when you don't need pure power, you need number 16. Utopia stops you from dying. That's pretty much the only reason I run him. If anyone was to come out, it'd probably be him.
Oh, Utopia.
Black Ship of Corn. If you don't need a battle phase, it's really good to get rid of a threat, and also it gets around back row like Mirror Force, Deep Prison, stuff like that.
Combo it and Cowboy.
Oh god, yeah.
1800.
Number 69, maybe not a popular choice, but I'd say that number 69 Heraldry Crest is pretty good against decks like, you know, Mermails and E-Dragons, because they have a big eye on the field. Hey, now I have a big eye, and I didn't have to pay $100 for mine.
Hey, big eye, you're big eye.
Number 105, Battlin Boxer Star Cestus. Gonna be totally honest, I've never made this guy, but his effect's good enough that I want to have the option.
Just think it.
And 1, 2, 3 Lady Oaks. There have been games where I've had to sit on one of these for 5, 6 turns. There have been games where I've gotten all 3 out in 2. So it's always good to have the option to go into more. Plus, he's a big beater and he gets bigger.
He's a bigger.
Giggity.
He just doesn't die.
Alright, so that's the extra deck. Last but not least, we got side deck. There's a few weird choices here, but our meta here is weird, so.
Works for locals anyway.
Yep. 3 MST because Compulse can go screw itself. 2 Chaos Trap Hold, just put this in actually. Stops Evil Swarm, stops Agents. Thank you, Jables.
Dark Worlds. Fuck that, Grandpa.
Well, Dark Worlds, but Dark Worlds are jank.deck anyways. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. Stops Dark Worlds, stops Evil Swarms. Stops anything that uses Dark Monsters, which is a lot.
Gravekeepers.
Yeah, stops Gravekeepers. 2 Trap Stun. That's really good against back row heavy decks, especially the ones that have a lot of reactive traps. Or if you're playing Chain Burn, they chain everything, and at the end you pop Trap Stun and they cry. 2 Mind Drain stops E-Dragons and stops Mermails. Your opponent's not doing much with that on the field if they're running one of those decks. 2 Anti-Spell Fragrance. That's my Prophecy bait. I don't like running against Prophecy. It's probably my worst matchup of the 3 meta decks. But that slows them down a turn and lets me get off the OTK that I need to do. And finally, 2 Deep Prisons. Not many people are running Fire Fist anymore, but any deck that relies on attacking a lot, like, hey, the Mirror Match, that will shut down a lot of attacking monsters, even if they do have effects that protect themselves.
Yeah, boy.
So that's the deck profile. If you have any questions, comments, go ahead and post them in the comments. Feel free to rate and subscribe if you want. It's up to you. Subscribing makes me happy.
Fucking do it.
You know.
Let's do it.
Alright. This is Professor signing out.